to Some Random Guy Speaks. I am your host, Tony G, and we're going to get started today. I'm out here driving too, but I said I'm going to do a little break. I said I was going to revisit this topic. I'm addressing the 92% of black women, and I'm putting this out there for those that most people know and they may not be allowed to talk about it. I can talk about it. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Keep it honest. But I'm going to do it with tact and class today. So this is going to be addressing the 92% that vote, the black women that vote Democrat, because they have been pushed as the leaders leading the black community, which should never have been the case. It should have been always, the pillar should have been from the men. It's like a role reversal where they got the women acting like the men and men behaving like women. And this is exactly where we are with this thing. It's totally backwards. The masculine mindset that most black women have, when it comes down to when you see them and interact with them, it's very masculine energy. And like I said before, this came from a Democratic policy. If we were to go back to 1965, Lyndon B. Johnson, the Great Society, that's where it came from. Because what did he do? Well, he busted up the family nucleus. Hold on for a minute. I knew something is strange. Hold on for a minute. Hold on. I should have better audio now. I knew something wasn't right. But let me go and recap. So, how did black women get into the leadership role? Because if you look earlier before 1965, they were aligned with their men and they were working with their men. In that particular time, this is before my time as well, but I remember my mother saying how her father went out here and went to work, and black men and women were married. In fact, they were married over an 80% cap rate. Black men and women back then, 1950s, 1940s, 1930s, they relied on their men. The black men back then were the breadwinners. They were the ones that were the breadwinners. They were bringing the money, right, home. I remember my mother told me that my grandmother, every Friday when my granddad got paid, and she knew when he got paid because when he came home, she had her hand out waiting for the check or the money. And that's how it was. This wasn't, but he was out working. He was out providing, as most men are supposed to, right? He was out providing, you know. Men, when they go out, they provide for for the woman, traditionally, right? This is what it was before the Democratic policies before 1965, because you had more of a nucleus with the black man and woman, because remember, welfare wasn't allowed. Whites got welfare from with FDR. He was a Democrat, but they didn't give it to blacks. They didn't give the welfare to blacks until 1965. Lyndon B. Johnson, the Great Society. This is where, sorry about that. So this is where we are today. So after 1965, the family unit nucleus was destroyed. It was busted up, broken up. And this is why we are in this space today. Because when you have 92% black women that the Democrats busted up the family nucleus. And that's why you can't really talk with a lot of them. And they're not used to dealing with real male masculine energy because if you notice, most black women have a masculine energy about themselves when they interact with not just men, but with each other. This is not how women are supposed to behave. But this was a Democrat policy. I know it very well because I grew up in the black community, obviously, right? And this is the type of energy, this is the type of when they broke the family unit up. And I said I was going to recap on this again because I'm really looking for Coco Fox to return into this room. You know, I'm not streaming from Twitter and I'm not at home, but I'm still willing to have the conversation with her or anybody else. But this is really not convincing them. More so, this is about explaining the problems with other minority groups. I think a lot of whites know, but then you guys are not really allowed to talk about it. And I think that's what it is. But I'm over here addressing the 92% in the so-called black community. Because I know with black issues, you know, who cares, right? It's a dead topic. And I get it and I understand. But this is coming from more of an educational experience for those that don't know. You got a lot of other ethnic groups in America that really don't know the history of how blacks got here. And that's what I want to address. And I'm really coming from it at an educational standpoint, more so than just, you know, and that's what I'm doing. Coming from it from an educational standpoint, dealing with this nonsense, because somebody has to talk about it, right? So let's go ahead and go further, right? So now that the family nucleus is busted up, and they did it through welfare, Lyndon B. Johnson, quote, said that I can have the niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 to 300 years, end quote. This is what Lyndon B. Johnson was a known. That the majority of they are party loyal. In fact, they are when it comes down to I apologize about the coughing. When it comes down to a party, I'm in a disagreement of being a party. It should be always about the policies. But with what I notice in the black community, and I see it with black women and black men too, they have a party loyalty versus a race loyalty. This is a problem because when you start looking around in the black community, what do you see? Crime, violence, drugs, right? Gang activity, prostitution. These are the things that are plaguing the black community in a major way. So why hasn't blacks in general at time? Why haven't they uh, why haven't they acknowledged this problem instead of talking about racism? There's nothing holding them back to fix their community. They are willing to go all out on a limb for a party that never gave a damn about black people, which is the Democrat Party. I don't care what nobody says. Because you see some of these politician blacks, mayors and governors and congressmen and senators, that's not enough. Because you even had a so-called black president, right? And still couldn't get it done. There's so much of uh, things in the so-called black community that's attending, but what do? They ignore all that, get blacks to get angry, mad, and frustrated, right? Over what? Over what? Over what? Really, this boycott, all this other stuff is a bunch of nonsense. and foolishness. I would have way more respect for the so-called black community had they would have had this type of energy for the problems in their own community, which is a black on black issue. And y'all allow the Democrats to ride on you, F over you. You do. You do. You allow this to happen. And you are going to hear this because this is an actual fact. This is why, if you notice, there's no group that take black people in America seriously because blacks don't take themselves seriously. There's no reason in the world that we should have a hood. No reason in the world. You got black entertainers, celebrities, you got so-called black leaders. What the fuck is everybody doing? Because they don't care about, you always talk about, well, yeah, we got to spend money, spend black and all this other stuff. We don't even have solidarity amongst each other. We really don't. What do we actually have where it's worth building up? This is the question that I'm asking. Because if you love black folks that much, then you will be trying to build in your communities. If you love black men and black women so much, then you will be together as a family unit. You wouldn't break your relationship, get out here and get on welfare and all this other nonsense if you learn to work together. But can they do that? Absolutely not. They just seem, I mean, they worried about all these other issues, Donald Trump, all this nonsense. He cutting this and that off when you should be learning to work with each other. And that's one thing that black folks have not learned how to do. They have not learned to love each other. Love to hate and hate to love. Love to hate and hate to love. Now, it may sound like a bitch rant fest, and it really isn't. This is educational, right? Because hopefully some of the minority group that get it, that are black, will say, you know what, he's right. Because what have they been doing? What has Al Sharpton and all the rest of them been doing? It's obvious that they see that we have a problem in the inner community, in the inner black community, which is black on black violence, right? All this abortion that's going on. We got gun violence, gang activity. We got all this stuff going on. But they can do a silly boycott, and it's not even for the right reasons. It's like, why even boycott? Why not have that energy to put pressure in the people that are fucking up in your community and draw and point that out? That's what should have happened a long time ago. Y'all missed the boat. And black men, and I blame especially baby boomers and Generation X, you also are the problem. Because nobody in a community or society will elevate a woman over a man and allow this to happen. This is totally against the grain. And this is why, like I said, this is why young black men today, and I'm talking about millennials and zennials and Gen Alpha, are going to grow up very weak, very beta male. You know what I'm saying? This is what they're producing. You don't have a father in the home. You got your mama. Your mama is your mother and your daddy. Go figure that. This is what we're dealing with here. And I'm only telling the truth. And I don't think that the majority of black women would see or hear, and it's not really for them to see or hear. This is about others, letting you guys know what it really is. And like I said before, others know what it really is that are non-black. They know what it is. But like I said, with all this critical race theory stuff, it's out the water. Things are changing for the better of America, right? DEI, affirmative action, nothing but an offshoot of that. That's gone out the window. We don't have any of this LGBTQ transgender type crap stuff anymore. We don't have to worry about this stuff political correctness, all this other nonsense. We don't have to worry about that stuff no more. All that is behind us. It's all behind us. I don't care if I get very much views or none at all, because again, I treat this as an educational video. Somebody will watch it, but this is the nonsense. This is the nonsense. This is what we're dealing with here. We're right now with the Trump administration, MAGA. It's a counter revolution. Not a revolution, a counter to what the sorry about that. It's a counter revolution to the revolution. That's what it is. That's what it is. So when we start looking at it, this thing, ladies and gentlemen, we start looking at this thing, it is what it is. Because it started with Obama, where the social, we're talking about the social things, the social norms that we once knew, that's been flipped up and turned upside down. And let me start with this binary transgender movement crap stuff. That was designed to destabilize, to get people confused on the genders, gender roles. This has been a major thing that we've been dealing with. Then also, Obama weaponized the LGBTQ community as well. He elevated them up. 4% of the community elevated them up over the Black community. And who was impacted by this more so? It wasn't just whites that was impacted by it. Blacks were impacted by it majorly. Because in order for the LGBTQ to have any type of power under Obama, right, they had to use the Black community. And who did they throw out there on the front line where everybody got their marching orders? Black women, right? They are the vanguards, right, to this type of liberal, progressive, outspeaking. This, like we already know. When you look at white corporations, what do they use Black women for? If you look in HR, you look in debt collection, customer service, mainly debt collection too. They use them, right? Because they know that Black women are good. It's like they got a double whammy by them being a woman, and then also not only that, but they have this masculine exterior about themselves, right? And they see with white corporate, these corporations, they know this, and they just use a silly butt, just like white feminism. They had to use Black women to launch up off of them. Black women fell for the okie doke on that as well. Black women been losing for a long time. They don't even realize it. They lost on white feminism because once the white women got there with the Title IX and all this stuff, they jumped right up off their behind. Black feminists and white feminists don't don't hang out together. It's a totally different thing. What else is it that they lost on? We keep on going down the list, right? This LGBTQ thing rolled around. Guess who they had to use in order to do it? They got the sympathy of Black women, the ear of the Black women. They go hard for LGBTQ community, right? They're their own man. And I do believe that a lot of Black women are confused because they never had a father in the home, so they don't really know what it's like to really be a feminine woman when you really think about it. Because of the social societies and unnorms that have been pushed onto the so-called Black community, this is why we are in this space today. And this is more of an educational thing, letting non-Blacks know what it really is. This is what we're dealing with. And then they want to have this silly boycott. The silly boycott is not going to do anything. Like I said before, these are democratic policies that the 92% black women, they are more loyal to their party than their own group and their own community. They really are. And this is why it's going to go ignored. It's going to go dormant. And I'm looking for the smoke today, dealing with with the issues and dealing with the things that I mentioned. Because what they would do, and I'm talking about in the so-called black community with a lot of these black guys, these beta male simps, as well as these masculine energy black women. See, what they all know how to do is that they know how to call you names, call you a Uncle Tom, call you a Sambo, and all this other stuff. To be honest with you, got people like Umar Johnson should be on the same page as me with this type of thing. If Al Sharpton had any type of dignity and respect, he should be on the same page as me. Any of these so-called black ministers, pastors, black leaders, civil rights leaders, all the rest of them, they should be on the same page as me. We should be mirroring each other, but we don't, because what they do is they kowtow and bow down to black women because they get most of the funding from black women. This is why they won't do this. This is why they won't do this, right? I'm telling you exactly what it is. This ain't no red PO, none of this community crap stuff. This is exactly what needs to happen. This is a problem, and I'm pointing out where the problem is coming from. If they would have the wherewithal and the motivation, and they should be outraged with the Democratic Party. Are they outraged to the Democratic Party? No. They study sucking the Democrat Party's ass, and they get nothing in return. And I'm talking about the 92% of black women, because that is who the Democrat Party serves. They don't serve black men at all. All they do is talk to the black women. The black women are the vanguard in the so-called black community, which should never have been the case. They should never have been in this leadership role like they are right now. They should never be in this situation that they are in right now. We are the only group to allow this to happen. And look what they have produced. Weak generation males today. A bunch of beta male simps today. This is what has been produced. And then they want to go out here again and have this old silly boycott that's not going to matter, not at all. They should be outraged of black on black crime, black incarceration by the mass droves and stuff. You look at the blue states, they outdo any of the other non-blue states by a landslide. But they give that a pass. They give all this shit a pass. They don't even care that the enemy is out front and center now. Anybody that's against that stand for the IRS, stand for no tax on tip and overtime and all this other stuff, no tax on OT, and they stand with this nonsense. They're backing this stuff up. It's crazy to me, but this is the mentality of the so-called 92% of the so-called black community. This is exactly what it is. I said I was going to recap on this. This time I'm going to leave it up because it's not about the views. It's about education. I'm pointing this stuff out. For those that are coming in, welcome to the channel. But I wanted to address something as I've been addressing earlier. These are democratic policies that many of the 92% of black women refuse to look at and see the hypocrisy of themselves as well as their own party that's been selling them out from day one. And I'm not afraid to talk about this stuff because, like it is, I grew up in the black community long enough to know. And I'm going to say this. God is not in the black community, not in the ghetto. He never was. How can God be in the black community in the ghetto when you got a party, a liquor store, a church, and everything else right there on the same corner? You make that make sense. These are issues, these are problems that are stemming from them, the own damn community, our own community. And I'm calling this shit out. I'm calling this hypocrisy out. And like I said, do you see any of these black leaders, these black ministers calling this shit out? No, they don't. They get paid by the Democratic Party. They're nothing more than an extension of the Democratic Party. No sense of talking to them because a lot of them are already dead. They just don't realize it yet. They're already gone. And then they want to sit up here and talk about, well, Trump is cutting the EBT and welfare and everything. Anybody with sense and knowledge will know that you cling to your man, you stay with your man, you build with your man, like we did in the past. Are they doing that today? The welfare system is nothing more than these Native American Indians, where you're given nothing more sheep set-asides will make you become non-productive in society. This is what it is. This is exactly what it is. How is Section 8 housing getting ahead? Generational poverty is what it produces. This is what it does. How is that getting people ahead? How? And yeah, you should be outraged. You should be upset. You should be disgusted, right? Let's go ahead and talk about the other programs that the Democratic Party have set up, right? They did this, right? They destroyed our community and they've been destroying America ever since with these socialist programs that they've been coming up with. You know, started with Obama, weaponized the LGBTQ community, said that we were going to take gender and confuse people on the issues, right? DEI and all this stuff. These were weapons, right? This was our revolution. That's why we had to have counter measure to the revolution, which is MAGA. We had to come up with a countermeasure to this type of stuff. Now that we won, and now that common decency and normacy has returned, we did not want this stuff. We didn't want this filth. We didn't want this garbage and trash. We didn't want people in there. It's merit-based. And I'm a black man, and I don't have no problem with that. And by the way, I never stood for affirmative action. If I didn't earn it, I don't get it. Why is it so hard to accept that? It ain't no conversation for debate. All these weapon system programs that the deep state Democrat progressives have set up have tried to destroy our nation. And it's a good thing that over 77 plus millions of us decided to vote for Trump. And this is why we had a countermeasure to this. They were thinking they were going willy-nilly and ride on America, and they were wrong. That's why they don't want to deal with real facts at all. This is exactly what it is. We won, they lost. We weren't going to go for this bullshit. We wasn't going to go for this bullshit. We weren't going to go for this stuff at all. It started with Obama and worked its way on down. It sure did. It sure did. These was insurgencies that happened against this country. And the way to divide people up is you get them confused on social progress, social things like gender, right? You get them confused. I don't know the difference between a male or a female, right? And they use TikTok. This was a tool. I do believe that's the time when TikTok came online. And look at the habit to try to create a civil war, right? But look at it. Look what happened. Look at the things that they've been doing. You got people that been convinced that it's okay to have a transparent government. I mean, a non-transparent government. They think it's okay to be in secret. The Democrats are going to have a hard time in this stuff. Just like most 92% black women, they can't defend this shit. Because if you won't sit up here and justify why they were still in that fund out of the USAID while they were still in that fund out of the USAID slush fund and all these other kickbacks that they were doing, and you still stupid enough to try to defend this? I got a bridge to sell you. Stuff that I'm talking about. Obama led us astray. The fallen Messiah, the great deceiver. This is what ended up happening with the programs. He weaponized the LGBTQ community, weaponized them in great lengths. They're only 4% of the people. And you got black women, thank you, black women, for allowing that to happen, because you care more about LGBTQ issues than your own damn man. You care more about a goddamn left party than your own damn man. And it's sad, but it's the truth. It's sad, but it's the truth. They would never get in line with this. That's why I say the answer should be, if I had it in my power invested in me, I would round them up and ship their ass over to Africa. As I said before, to let them experience what real pain and real suffering is, when you don't get no benefits, you don't get no welfare, you don't get no Section 8 when you're in Africa. I would drop their ass off somewhere in Africa where you have to do everything on your own. They don't know what real poverty is until you have gone there. I sure would. And they will be allowed to stay there. And if you don't know how to align yourself with a man or a family, you die. This should have never been allowed. How you gonna create generational wealth when you got your hand out every goddamn month? You ain't no better than those natives on those native lands. No better. How? How does that happen? It doesn't. Just gonna tell the truth. This video gonna be here to stay once I make it, because like I said, this is gonna be a counter to this revolution shit that the Democrats are trying to do. And the weaponizing the black women and things like that. All that failed. So y'all, we don't have to worry about that no more. No more DEI, no more Joyce Reed. We got rid of all of them. And many more to go. Self-hating whites too, like Rachel Madcow. You know, we're going to get rid of both of these groups. Blacks, self-hating blacks, self-hating whites. Get them up on out of here. We don't need that type of journalism. That's not journalism, that's propaganda. We won, MAGA. Anybody that supported and voted Trump, we won. That's why this boycott ain't crap. It's SHIT. This boycott ain't gonna mean nothing. Boycott for the wrong reasons. Should be boycotting against the liberal left party. That's who they should be. That's how stupid and confused they really are. Hypocrisy and silliness. They don't even know that the party have been weaponized, and it just used them. Used they behind every time. Used they butt 2 to 4 years. Used them. We ain't getting nothing out of it. They're so damn dumb and stupid, they can't even get nothing from their party. Quid pro quo, this for that. Who vote for a party when you ain't get nothing back? I've got more back under Trump voting for him. My dividends have risen. Crypto has risen. There's a lot of things voting for Trump that I benefited from. Can they say the same with the Democratic Party? Hell no. I had lower interest rates, lower a lot of things, man. More opportunity, more job opportunity, more business opportunity, and many more to come. I love it when they ask me what Donald Trump did for you. I just named it. I just named many things of what Donald Trump did for me. And many other things for other people. Trump is a colorless president. He ain't for just one group. But these foolishness, man, it's this ignorance and foolishness that they're just liars, man. Because they know that they don't have the narrative anymore in America. The Dems, the Democrat progressives are finished. I said this all yesterday on my live, and I'm going to continue saying it. They don't have a platform anymore. They don't have support, credibility no more. They ain't nothing but a bunch of liars. That's all they are. That's what they are. They don't have it anymore, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I said we don't have nothing to be worried about. We are the counter this revolution that they try to do. They tried to have a revolution under Obama. We kicked Obama's ass out. We kicked him out, threw him out. Obama it got problems that he got to worry about with that phony birth certificate, let alone a lot of other things. He got treasonous issues that he got to worry about. And we're going to see him as well. Clintons are done too. Bidens are done. All your past leaders in the Democratic Party is finished. You don't have no leadership. You think that Jasmine Hood Rat Crockett is going to do something? She got to explain where all that millions have come from. Just like Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren got to explain it. Like I said before, y'all have a lot of explaining to do on the left. Where that money went from the taxpayers, you got explaining to them. And we're going to more than likely see arrest. It's going to be coming. It's going to be coming. This is the insurgency that's been going on in our country for a long time. And it happened under the Democratic arm with the Uniparty, with a lot of these rhino-ass Republicans. These no good. And all they are is just liberals, just by name only, but they don't do nothing. This is the main reason. This is why we couldn't get no get back at all. We have an insurgency in this country. They even tried to steal the election. And they did, but it's going to be retribution on that too. These are the things that they party. And then you got the 92% still kissing their ass. Y'all look more like jackasses today than ever before. And I'm one of the few men, especially a black man, that's going to tell you the truth. Jackasses. 92% of them are jackasses. Black women. Look at them. Look at them. Jackasses. Vote Democrat Party loyal. I mean, just not just ignorant, just a bunch of stupidity. Stupidity. No common sense. No logic. Just emotions. That's all they know how to do. Is emotion and insult. And that's one thing I ain't never been afraid of, is anybody insulting me and a whole bunch of emotionalism. Because if you ain't coming with logic and common sense and facts, it ain't nothing to talk about. That's why they won't come in here with logic, common sense, and facts. They come in here like coons and buffoons and idiots. That's what they come in here and things like that. They don't have any type of information on their own. They watch propaganda news. They stand for all this DEI bullcrap stuff, all this transgender, which has been weaponized. And they were on their way to pedophilia. They were on their way to legalizing that. The Democrats hate censorship. The Democrat Party loves censorship. Misspoke. The Democrat Party loves censorship. They hate the Constitution. They hate the Second Amendment. They don't like nationalism. They hate when a white person is a nationalist. You know what they want to call you guys? And you already know. They call you racist. When I'm black standing up for America and patriotic, you know what they call me? A self-hating Negro. What's the difference? What's the difference? You know, what's the difference? And if some of y'all shouldn't be kowtowing at all. You should have like this kryptonite. It's like a white kryptonite when blacks come out and say, well, yeah, you're racist because you stand for America and you put your flag out. You have a right to put your flag out. That's why Trump signed an executive order that English is the official language of America. I love it. That way they can take down these IVR prompts when we have to call up for business. Press English, press 1. For Spanish, press 2. It ain't going to be no Spanish. If they want to come in this country Your job is to learn English. That's your fault, your responsibility. Who go to a country and don't know the language? We're not making any more commentary and comments, accommodating. We're not doing any other stuff no more. You're going to learn English or don't come over here. Simple as that. We get tired of this nonsense. We're not getting nothing from this. You're going to learn and conform. You're going to learn English and you're going to conform to the laws over here in America. You're going to know the Constitution. You're going to be attacked. Well, we're going to get rid of the taxers. But we want you to know the law of the land. You're not going to be putting your flag up. You are in America. You do what the Americans do. You want to celebrate all that, you can do it in your own home. But when you step out that door, you better know English. You better know the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all this great stuff, the 3 branches of government, and all the rest of it. You're not going to be a citizen by name only, and then you want to hold up. That's why that Omar is getting her behind deported up on out of here. Send her ass and her brother and anybody else that ain't down in America, send their ass back over into Somalia, where they belong. Go to Somalia. I'm not trying to go to no damn Somalia. Somalia don't even have an infrastructure. It's a war-torn ass country. If you come from a war-torn ass country, we've been good to your behind bringing your butt over here. If you want to talk shit and ish against America, I think not. You ain't gonna do it on my watch. I would even deport you and take your ass up on out of here. This is America. This ain't Somalia. You come over here, you respect our laws. Got her out on the forefront. See, this is the type of nonsense. This is the kind of nonsense, though, you know? It's a bunch of hypocrisy. That's why people don't take this woman serious. She's been anti-American ever since. She's been 17 years old, been in our country. No thank you. No, America saved you. Taxpayers saved your ass. You should have never been allowed over here. If it would have been under the Trump administration, it would have never happened. But these are failed policies, ladies and gentlemen. Failed policies from the left once again. And I'm just walking everybody down on this stuff. I'm not really reading comments right now because I'm making a point. I've already addressed the 92% black women earlier. You have to go and read. I may recap on it, depending on how I feel. But when Al Sharpton called this out, no. Because he ain't nothing. I mean, who's calling this stuff out? None of them are calling it out. That's why I said if I had it in my way, in my power, I would take I would round up these black women, the ones that hate America. I would round their ass up too, and I would ship them over there to Africa. I would. Just like what's name getting deported right now. Ilhan Omar getting her ass deported. Get her ass up on out of here and her brother. Who marries their own brother in order for her to stay in America? Who does such a thing, right? This is the type of lunacy that we're dealing with these leftists. Leftist lunatics is a proper name for them. Who would sit up in here and do such a thing? She married her own brother. Wow. Wow. Just for him to stay in this country. It may not even stop there. Who knows? It may not even stop there. None of my business, though. But like I said, we got laws here in America. Yeah, you got to go. Then you've been showing Somalians how to escape ICE, just like with AOC. You got to go. You can't stay here. You're breaking all kind of laws. You can't stay here. So look at it. Look at the insurgencies that we had to deal with here in America. We've been dealing with this nonsense. We've been dealing with this nonsense, ladies and gentlemen, for a long time. Now we're calling this shit out for what it really is, right? I'm saying that we had a revolution insurgency since Obama. That's what ended up happening. You know, I hate the fact that welfare was offered as an alternative. I hate the fact that welfare was offered as an alternative. What should have been encouraged is for men and women to stay together, for women to be encouraged to stay in your relationships. This is what should have been encouraged. This is where it was before. But when they excuse me, when they implemented when they implemented this situation, ladies and gentlemen, they implemented this thing that we call the welfare system, and it has destroyed a community. This is one of the main reasons right now. When you hear these women, especially the black women, they speak with entitlement, disrespectful, right? Because they have a system that protects them, that gives them a safety net. And this is why they can have this nose turned up thing towards a man or whatever like this, as if he was at fault. If you were to take away the safety net and take away the system, which is happening now, right? Where there's going to be certain type of criterias in order to get it, as it should be. You're not going to be allowed. I saw this foolishness. I'm going to say this to you, man. EBT, one of the biggest scams out here. They were allowed with the EBT. They allowed they were allowed to go out here with EBT and buy cigarettes. This is EBT, ladies and gentlemen, to buy cigarettes. I'm going to say it one more time. EBT, to buy cigarettes. They could buy all type of BS and crap. And now that they're screaming and hollering, Trump is doing this, that ain't what that's for. But with the left again, they got duped again. They've been allowed, and it's taxpayer money. Welfare people don't even pay into the tax system. 92%, this is what I'm trying to explain to the 92% of black women. It's useless, so don't just ignore that. But just in general, people that are on welfare in general, right? Black, white, and other, they don't realize that it's our tax dollars, right? We pay the taxes so they can be able to get up in here, have Section 8 housing, welfare, EBT, WIC. And out here, lack of education or just laziness and triflingness, they get out here and have this undiscriminative sex, no protection whatsoever. It is worse in the inner city. These women getting pregnant and having children, and a constant drain on our society. These are degenerates. These are losers and misfits, right? I'm calling it out for what it really is. Because how in the hell have we as a society is supposed to move forward when they always complaining, always bitching, always whining? We, the taxpayers that pay for their shit, pay for their prenatal, right? pay for their WIC and all this other stuff, Similac and all this other stuff. Poor diet, ill health. But guess who's paying for all this shit? They can go out here and EBT to buy cigarettes. Man, I was so angry and mad at that. Bragging about how the government have white women, black women on social media, bragging about how the government been good to them. These are the reasons as to why you have these leftist lunatics that pay homage and love the Democrats so much. They love them because of the social programs that have been given to them, and it's not, and they act like it's free. Where in the hell do you think that where that money is coming from? They don't care. It's all about them. They don't care. Poverty, welfare recipient mindset do not know how the world really works. They don't care. All they care is what's in it for them. This is why they continue voting Democrat to get trinkets and trash in return, right? Instead of learning how to deal and do better, educating yourselves, uplifting yourself, and learning to be married and stay in your marriage. That's where you're going to get the majority of your support, not Uncle Sam, which is us, because we're taxpayers is paying for your shit. You act like, and you got this entitlement, this old, it's just, to me, it offends me when I see a lot of these women that they have this entitlement and they have this nasty attitude like they really are doing something. You are protected by a system. If there was a purge that was going to happen at midnight tonight, and many of you don't have no real protection, I can already tell. So if a would-be purge, if you saw the movie Purge, what were they doing? They were going after the weakest and the lowest hanging fruit, kicking in doors and doing whatever the hell they want to do with you and your children. That's what it was. Until a crisis like that happened, you are totally delusional. You absolutely think that you'd have made it off your own push, and you a liar. It is off of the government, which is the American people. And this stuff has to stop. Because like I said, there should be a program to round them up that's our own welfare and let them know what real world and what real life is like in these third world countries. I think that'd be a wonderful program. Them and their children can experience what it really is like for real. They don't have these programs in the Philippines. I know this for a fact. They don't have these type of programs. The Filipino woman has to rely on her man, or she has to rely on her family. If you don't have that, your ass is hit. So how dare you sit up in here and act like you better than anybody else when we've been carrying your ass the whole time? We've been carrying your ass, taxpayer money. That ain't your money. You get EBT and all this other kind of stuff, and then you get your tax returns, $8,000-9,000 back in return. You don't pay it to the government at all. You're just a low life. You want to call men low life? How about women low life? You a deadbeat. Most of the women in general are deadbeats. If you're gonna be on welfare that long and you ain't come up off of it, you got all type of education programs out here where you can go back to school and have higher learning. The government give it to you absolutely for very little or nothing at all. You got Section 8 housing. Look how trifling they are. They can't even hold down. I've seen it so bad when they have to pay $40, $60 a month, and guess who got the rest of it? Section 8 housing. Who paid for that? Taxpayers. They're so trifling, they can't even keep up with the bare minimum to stay in government subsidized housing. This is how pathetic they are. They blow through every type of money. They're not learning about money management, money education. All they know how to do is spend the money. And I'm talking about
welfare recipient right now. This is straight across the board. Straight across the board. What are they learning? They don't even know where the money comes from, nor do they care. All they know is these are Democratic policies that are failed policies. The Democrat liberal lunatics don't educate their constituents. They don't educate their voters at all. They keep them as a slave to the system. Look at black women in the 92%. Now we're going to talk about them again. 92% of the black women are a slave to the Democratic Party. They love not getting back nothing in return other than this old bullshit ass welfare. Because they already know they don't have to do anything for the black community. All we want is your vote. But please vote for me. Vote for me. That's all they care about. They are what we call loyal, party loyalists to a party that don't give a damn about them in return. And this is why we can't get ahead. The black so-called ghetto hood black communities are created and constantly being perpetuated by who? 92% of black women and weak black men. There we go. Bam. I done killed this in a nutshell. This is exactly what it is. Somebody got to tell you the truth. This is more of an educational thing for those that don't know, because I can't expect for everybody to know. I know most people understand this stuff by now. This is what is going on. They vote for their self-destruction. Look at their leaders. A lot of the black leaders is a joke. They're going to fall on their own swords. Brother and sister fall on their own sword. If I want to say, I'll say this. I'm going to say this. I don't see this getting any better because they are so brainwashed, so hardwired to the Democratic Party, and they are blinded by their hatred towards a man that they never met. I met Don Jr., and Don Jr. was real cool. He's a nice guy. And I met others, but they won't even have the balls or the nerve to even want to even speak to somebody like Trump. They let pop propaganda dictate to them, and they say, well, he's a racist. He don't like black people. And they let this old talentless ass Kendrick Lamar, that was terrible. That halftime show was awful. It was horrible. It was a horrible thing. This type of nonsense is only allowed here in America. And it's going to stop. And I'm so glad that this stuff is going to stop. It's going to stop. I was compelled to do a live today about this type of stuff because I did it to counter the so-called boycott. This boycott that a lot of blacks are having today that made news, like I said before, it's not going to gain no traction, news media wise, but it's not going to put even a dent, let alone a scratch at all. Business will go on as usual. Business will go on as usual. If they were going to do something like this, they should be boycotting against the left. This is what they should have been doing. They should have been boycotting against the crime, violence, and drugs in their own communities. They should be outraged with their leadership. Black leadership failed Black America, and Black America allowed the leadership to fail. That's why blacks are today, and this is why we have this unlapped, or what is it, I call it unevenness of power, because women should be out on the forefront like this. They men should. They men kowtow, bow down. I've said this many times before. Beta male simps. And everybody know, look at the masculine energy. It's upside down. It's opposite. The way you correct this is that you have to learn some things in order to, and now, I mean, it's really sad though, so far gone now. I don't think it would ever be able to come back, though, to really be honest. It's not me being negative either. I don't see it coming back no time soon because you got the majority of people in the black community that still think that somebody like Trump is a racist. It's amazing to me that they don't see the monumental strides that President Trump has been doing in this country for everyone. They act as if they don't know the front from their rear in regards to something like this. It's obvious common sense policies. We're talking logic, common sense. Logic, common sense. What Trump is up against is a bigger thing than what they realize. I mean, they act like somebody like Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton is not even he can't even hold Donald Trump's hand. This is how bad Al Sharpton is. This is the people that old school blacks and black women again, they hold up Al Sharpton. They won't call him out. Look at the NAACP, the black clergy. They won't call this stuff out. They're all part of it. And like I said, there's many blame that can be shared in the so-called black community. I seeing the hypocrisy. I'm seeing the devastation that the left have done to the black community. Many of these blacks are ignorant to the fact of the Democratic Party. They don't realize that the Democratic Party is the party of our ancestors. They will not research this. Why? Because we have dysfunctional so-called leaders that would never tell the truth. I have not heard one so-called black leader ever tell me that that the Republican Party is the party of our ancestors. Not one of them. Not one. They won't even tell the truth about the Reconstruction period. You had blacks in all types of political, they were voting. The Democrats didn't want blacks to even vote. And if it wasn't for the Republicans, blacks wouldn't have been allowed to vote. They had to write us in the amendments. 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment, the ending abolishment of slavery. 14th Amendment, right? Which is the 14th Amendment, birthright citizenship. 15th Amendment, the voting. Then we got hit with the poll tax. They had to come up. The poll tax was for against black folk. And this was a Democratic policy. We can go all through history, ladies and gentlemen. And I can point out in places in time of what the Dems have done against blacks as well as in this country. It ain't just blacks. They've been against this country from the beginning. Excuse me. Since the beginning. They've been against this country since the beginning. And we have to acknowledge this thing. We can walk down in points in time as to how bad it has gotten. How do we think that redlining, where that came from? I read a book called The Color of Law. This was a few years back. Gave the whole history of how redlining happened. And these were color-coded things with redlining where blacks wasn't even allowed to live in certain areas, especially areas where the red line is, and then you had the safe areas, which is like your blues and greens, but yellows, reds, and orange. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But this was a Democratic policy. Make a long story short, this wasn't a Republican policy. This was a Democrat policy. If they were brave enough to look it up, they won't look this fact up. They won't look it up. Even the red line that came from the Democratic Party. What else come from the Democratic Party? Ku Klux Klan came from the Democratic Party. What else? We go and say a lot of things. Whatever you can say about conservative, I have a list of things. Let me tell you about what conservatives did. We had to go back in time since Republican Party is the party of black ancestry, because with abolitionist blacks and the Whig Party started the Republican Party, right? 1854. Let's go there, right? I got time today before I go back to work. They were designed to stop the spread of slavery out to the West. Guess who was for slavery? It was the Democratic Party. They were the ones that had slaves. And they didn't want this law thing to stop. They were benefiting from it. Slavery was a major money maker. But guess who was behind it? The Democrat Party. Ku Klux Klan, Democrat Party. Jim Crow, Ku Klux Klan, Jim Crow, right? Segregation. All this were Democratic policies. You cannot ignore this. That's why I can handcuff Democrats, especially black Democrats, all day long. Because many of them are ignorant to go into their own party and not only just be critical, but to really get down to the truth. They beloved Martin Luther King was a Republican. They swept that under the rug until it started resurfacing recently. Go figure that. So the party that you champion for is really the party of your destruction. Trying to convince this to 92% of black women is like pulling teeth. Good luck on that one, which I'm not even trying to. But they have these these little, they try to find one or two things about the conservative as being wrong and act like that justify the whole thing. You have a whole history in this country ever since the Democratic Party, the birth of the Democrats was, what was it, 1928 or something like that? Ever since the party been alive, we have had nothing but problems in America. And I can, like I said before, I can go in places in time to bring things up. You cannot deny this. I can walk you down on some things. But the problem is that they got like fingers in their ears and they will not acknowledge where the problem is coming from. They try to make this a one blanket all. You know, the MAGA Republicans are different to the regular rhino Republicans. Let me tell you something about a rhino Republican. A rhino Republican is just by the name itself. They are liberal underneath, what many Democrats refuse to accept. A rhino Republican, once again, they are nothing more than a liberal Democrat. All it is WWE wrestling all over again. They act like they hate each other, but they champion for the same team. That's why, if you remember a while back, when John Kerry and Bush they were having a debate, Bush Jr. They had a debate on stage, right? This is back before in 2000, I believe. They had this debate, this silly debate. Both sides, first of all, John Kerry and George Bush Jr. are first cousins. They also belong to Skull and Bones. This is a known fact. So right there, this was WWE at its finest. They sat up there on stage and pretend to have this phony debate, They both were on the same team. They both were liberals. They both were Democrats, even though one poses to be a Republican and the other one poses to be a Democrat. How does that happen? But people were hoodwinked and bamboozled. So this is why we call it the Uniparty. Now, we destroyed the rhinos. We kicked them out of the Republican Party. MAGA took over the of the rhino Republicans. You never in your lifetime, in mine too, you never seen a president that have signed more executive orders that's really getting this country back. The Democrats, ever since Obama, we had an insurgency here in America with his bullshit policies. You know your fallen messiah, right? The great deceiver. Talking about Barack Obama, that dude, the big ear dude, the one that lied and said that he was an American citizen dude that's married to a man and all this other stuff. I'm talking about that dude, right? I'm talking about that dude with his policies, right? His policies champion for the LGBTQ community, right? He was the one that brought in this insurgency here in America. He weaponized the LGBTQ community and he used the black women in the black community to do it. And this is the problem that the greatest gripe I have against the black community. They champion for everybody's rights except for their own. Now we finally understanding what the foundational blacks, ADOS and them, they are finally coming around and say, you know what? This ish don't even make any sense. Why are we out here championing for other groups of people when we should be championing for ourselves? At least I have a lot of respect for the foundational blacks and the ADOS and all them. At least they have that part right. You know what I'm saying? They have that right. This other crap, what have they benefited with the LGBTQ? What's the benefit of that? What's the benefit of black women? You should be champion for your own race and your own people, your men. But they don't do this. That's why I say, man, it's really pointless. I said I'm not reading the comments today because I'm making some points today, so I'm not dealing with the comments right now. You're more welcome to comment. I'll check them out later. No disrespects to you. But as I was mentioning, this is where we are. And this foolish boycott thing, it's gonna fail too. Because again, you're championing for the wrong things instead of the right things. Like I said before, it starts by learning about who your enemy really is. Since you don't want to do the research and you're not willing to educate yourself, this is why there will be no help for the so-called black community until the men, real leadership, starts standing back up and stop kowtowing down to these women and bowing down to them, the 92% of the black women. This is why you're gonna get the shaft every single time. Stop caring about other people's issues and start worrying about your own community. Your communities are dying. Because I can name cities from New York, Maryland. We can go right, Philadelphia, Maryland. I could go right down the East Coast alone and then out west. I'm here in Detroit. I can go straight into these communities and bring up this issues and the problems, though. See, they don't want to. Excuse me. See, they don't want to have the real conversations. You know, not really. And I said I was going to come back and read the comments and stuff like that, but I said I wasn't reading comments right now. You know, you know what I'm saying. So that's the thing about it. And see, this guy here. Let me go back and read what he said real quick because this is the misconception that what the Democrats have taught this lie. In other words, he's saying that the parties have switched. This is a lie. These liberals have always been liberals. How you think that when we had the Confederacy in the war, right? The Civil War. These are the same group of people, progressives on the left that we're talking about. This is the same people. The same enemy then, it's the same enemy today. And the Democrat progressives have did a lot. They have did major havoc here in America, you know. And like I said, the only thing that they can say that they can do, they say, you're scared. You're scared. You're scared. See, that's supposed to get me to get out of my comfort zone. I'm still in my comfort zone. I always have been. Names ain't never hurt me. Facts hurt them because he's been trying to defend the Democratic Party, talking about they switch. I've been just, if he ever were to have the balls and the guts to stand up against, I don't know if you black or whatever you are, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Because like I said, you come on my live and I just been kicking your ass with facts up and down. I'm so much facts, I'm faxed out. You know, like I said before, your party is garbage. Your party has been the enemy of America and the enemy of the black community. Facts. You have to deal with that. Until you start to decide to wake up one day and stop kowtowing down to these women and stand up like a real man and take some initiative and take some balls. Because it takes balls to do what I'm doing. It don't take balls to do what you're doing. You're defending a enemy that has been an enemy of this country. It's easy to do that. But how can you defend something that is for taxes? How can you defend somebody to have a private bank, private Western Central Western Central Bank that has been a problem in our society since 1913? How do you defend this type of stuff? How do you defend uh, the black community today with crime, violence, drugs, and all the rest of this crap going on? How do you defend a party that hates freedom of speech, anti-constitution, anti-American? You know, how do you defend this type of stuff? You can pick any one of them. I'm just saying, how do you defend this? How you defend this? I've been kicking your ass all damn day long since you've been in my room. Been kicking your ass with the facts. You ain't gotta like it, but I tell you what though, if I was at my studio at home, I would have had you to mic up, cam up and mic up. I sure would have. Let you know how much I'm afraid of you. I hope you remember my channel because you're more welcome to come back. But I really want you to cam up and mic up. But what we're gonna do, so that you know that we're gonna be very respectable with each other. And if you can't conduct yourself in a how I'm speaking to you, you can't conduct yourself the same, I boot you right up out of the room for life. That's all I ask. That's all I ask for. We can have a difference of opinion. We have a difference of opinion, but a lot of stuff that you're saying right now, it's bullshit. That's why I'm not. I glance at it, but I didn't heard all this shit before. You don't have an answer to any of the things that I've already stated earlier, because I already know where your knowledge come from. It's a lack of knowledge, actually. It's a lack of knowledge. You have to be willing to be well studied. And you're not well studied though. I can tell right now with the things that you're making, the claims that you're projecting and stuff like that. Yeah, I can boot you anytime. I can boot you right now if I want to, but I decided not to do it. Why boot you when you're not really coming with no like real, we're talking about actual factual common sense and logic. That's all I'm dealing with. No emotion, common sense and logic. That's what I'm saying. Remember, I done dealt with trolls before. I troll too, but I troll with knowledge. And that's one thing I've never been afraid of is a troll. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying you are for say. I don't know you, sir or ma'am. I don't know you. But I am addressing the problems in the inner community, which I already stated earlier. And these are facts. If you think that this boycott is going to mean a hill of beans, it don't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. These boycotts and stuff like this, does not mean anything. Let's stick with the boycott for a minute. We can ride with that one. How you think that the boycott is going to matter at all? Are you aware that there's supposed to be a boycott today? Blacks are getting together and going to boycott all these businesses today. Tell me how you think that that's going to be effective. Let's go and pick a topic there. Let's talk about that one, right? Let's talk about that one. I'm asking you a question. You tell me, you educate me, sir. You educate me on how the boycott, how is that going to make a point? I'm not aware of any boycott. Oh, gosh. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and ask you another question, though. Give me a positive, give me something positive that the Democrats have been doing that benefit us in our society. I'm talking about within the last 4 years. Let's go. Give me something. Come on, Cletus. Give me something. But within the last 4 years, what have the Democrats did positively trying to stop voter suppression? You mean with the voter ID thing? You mean allowing it? Wasn't it the Democrats that got busted for allowing a lot of illegals to vote in the Democrat vote? They've been busted. You do realize this, right? They tried to do it again with this recent election. They got busted for this, sir. You are aware of that, right? The only states that didn't allow voter ID, I believe, was Oregon, Illinois, and this is why Harris was ended up on winning those states. And how she ended up doing this is that they had anybody and everybody's mama and daddy signing up. We should always have voter ID. What type of voter suppression are we talking about? You got to have some type of clamp on this. But so anybody and everybody should be allowed to vote without ID. Look what ended up happening. Look what ended up happening. I mean, with opening more polls places in Atlanta, I mean, trying to overturn the laws that prevented helping people get to the polls, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing about it. There was called a CARE Act that we, I believe, is in the process of getting passed. A long time ago, I don't know how old you are, but we had it where we had same day voting, and we had it where people went down to the polls. We had paper ballots, and we had same day voting at the polls. And we had to show your ID. You had to show your ID. It's just simple. You know what I'm saying? See, here you are being disingenuous. Blah blah blah. You can't handle the facts. See, you being disingenuous now. See, I'm telling you that is exactly what it was, sir. Your party has been busted countless of times with this whole voting scam stuff. Why you think that we've been pushing it? We want same day voting, voter ID, and we don't want the mail-in ballots. We want it where everybody can go down there and vote. And that's the way it always have been before. It's your party that put in the mail-in ballots, and then y'all champion for having no ID, where that means anything. And see, why even have this conversation? You're not even trying to even hear me out. You've been disingenuous. You don't think that deserved to be booted out of the room? Because I never said to you, blah, 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 this and that. I listened to you, and I read what you said. But it's you that got the problem. You are triggered. You don't like what I'm saying. I heard what you said, but what you're saying is not correct. But it don't even matter anymore. Your party is lost. Deal with the facts. You have no leadership. You're discombobulated, and people are not riding with the Democratic Party no more, sir. You are done. You are done. You can't name anybody. Hakeem Jeffries, what's her name? Jasmine Hood Rat Crockett. We go down the list. Who do you have? You have nobody. Gavin, Knucklehead, Newscomb. You think he's going to do it? None of them have credibility no more. Nobody ain't trying to listen to these crooks. Who you think? Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren? Gretchen, Stretch It, Gretchen Hitler? Who do you think you have? You don't have nobody, sir. I've been toying you and trolling you the whole time. You a joke. That's my rebuttal back to you to the blah, blah, blah thing. You's a joke. You're like a child. Lack of knowledge. You need to start educating yourself further about your party as well as about the Republican Party. I can tell that you don't really know a lot. I can tell already. You have nothing. Your party, it'll be a very long time that you'll ever see a Democrat in power again. 77 plus voted for Trump. Deal with it. At least Trump has a policy. At least he's been making changes. He's making changes where it's going to be very difficult for anybody else to come in there, and undermine things. We are the majority. You are the small minority group that will no power or nothing. We have returned over the FBI, getting that back together, the CIA, going back to the Constitution, going back to the Second Amendment right, bringing back freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and then also the freedom of the press. These are things that already have happened. Trump just wrote another executive order saying that English is the official language of America. So all the stuff that you're trying to come in this room and saying, who is listening? No one. You have no party. You have lost. You a loser. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. And that's what you got. Nothing. You can't convince me that the Democratic Party is the party of the deliverance of this country. It's not. You're not even a minority group. You're smaller than a minority group. To be really honest, you're less than 30% of the voting bloc that voted for Harris. You have nothing. You have nothing. Don't affiliate yeah, you are though, because if you ain't with MAGA, I take it, because like I said, even the moderates are not this brain dense. Moderates and even liberals even voted MAGA. But guess who did not vote MAGA? It's the 92% of black women. That I do know is a fact. And that's a shame. And they want to sit up here and talk about white liberal women. White women, liberal women aren't that damn stupid. They at least they realized what they were dealing with and what they got. But you sit up here and try to make it. How did 92% of black women that still vote Democrat and lost tremendously? They actually thought this woman, would think that she had had an advantage. She did not. I don't care really what party that you affiliate yourself with. I really don't care. The point is simply this. Yeah, the point is simply this. The 92% of the black women should be ashamed of themselves. That's what I'm saying to you. That's what they should be ashamed of. At least the white women weren't that damn stupid. Some idiots. I'm not even sorry to say it. Idiots. I don't bow and cow down to no woman. You may do, but I don't. I tell the truth. With no fear. No fear at all. Because the problem is like I said before, you want to sit up here and try to play this middle game. I know you're a liberal. I can see your talking points. I see where you're coming from. I met moderates before. And if you were going to be a moderate, I would call you a moderate liberal. And I met many moderate liberals. And I get tired of talking to moderate liberals. Because be honest with you, I don't see much of a difference between a moderate liberal and a liberal. You're just a liberal, but you're too embarrassed to even admit to being part of a losing party. I know you're a Democrat because I can see where your talking points are coming from. You can't fool me. It don't even matter. No moderate will ever win in the White House. You should know this. Just look at RFK Jr. Who is RFK Jr. aligning himself to be with? You should know this. It ain't no moderate, even though he ran as a moderate. Who is he with? Who is Tulsi Gabbard with? Let's go down the list. Who are they? Who are they with? Who gave them more opportunities? They got better opportunities under the MAGA Republicans than if what they ever would have had being a Democrat. That's a fact. Who do you have? You done ran off the brightest and the best of your people. Because you know what I find with the Democrats that I find rich? They always call themselves the party of tolerance, the party of love. And in fact, they are the opposite, right? They don't even have a leg to stand on right now. They are the party of intolerance, the party of hatred. Anybody that don't agree with them, they kick them out the Democratic Party. I've never been a Democrat in my life. I never voted Democrat in my life. I'm glad to say that. Never have. Because I knew the party was full of shit then and they're full of shit today. I can handle any Democrat easy in a debate. You don't have nothing to debate on. It's really embarrassing. Shame on you to try to think that you can talk down on me and try to call me either I'm wrong or whatever. I got my facts straight. You don't know shit about the Democratic Party. I know way more about the Democratic Party than you do. You know? Shit. Martin Luther King was and he was, at least he had enough sense to be a Republican and Democrat. He knew that much. I don't take, if you are a man, I don't respect a lot of liberal men, a lot of estrogen in your tank. I'm used to dealing with real men. Real men deal with real facts and common sense, not on all this other sweetie pie stuff. We ain't on that stuff no more. We ain't on that. That whole woke agenda stuff is destroyed. DEI will never come back. There's all type of executive orders that's against that. And let me tell you this: since you're still while you're still here, let me tell you this: the sanctuary cities are going down. We have gotten, we have removed a lot of illegals out of this country. A lot of them it's more of them going to be going out of here. We are getting in the process of deporting Ilhan Omar, getting her ass up on out of here. How you like them apples? Ilhan Omar is in the process of getting deported back to Somalia, where she belongs. Take her brother and all the refugees that's over there in Minnesota, take their asses up on out of here too while you're at it. Anybody that we are for border security, no birthright citizenship that only belongs to the black man and woman, nobody else. The Constitution already said so in the 14th Amendment. And that's your problem and many of you problem because you champion for other people's cause instead of your own cause. You don't know your history. You champion for open borders, and I'm sure you do, because most Democrats do. And then you try to justify it. Oh, they do the work because Americans won't do it. Nothing more than the same old crap that they did back in the slavery days. They'd rather have people over here for slave wages instead of fixing the economy and make it more affordable for Americans to have the quality of life that they deserve. And that's what Trump is doing right now. And you will see it in a year or so from now when this economy turns around. And all of y'all that are against MAGA, against Trump, you all going to have to eat crow. And I can't wait for the day that you all are eating crow. Because like it is, it doesn't even matter about convincing you or not. I really don't give a damn. You wield no power. You have no influence. You have no credibility whatsoever. You are considered to be a joke. And that goes for anybody else. You are a joke. This is what this is about. You got the majority of 77 plus million people that have voted for Trump. This woman was so much better, she should have won. Harris did not have the qualifications. She was a DEI hire and a very bad one at that. You look at Biden's cabinet, it's nothing but a bunch of misfits, freaks, kooks, and spooks. That's who his cabinet is. Biden is the reason why the economy is so goddamn high right now. Biden is the one that brought up all this inflation right now. Biden was the one that wanted to silence our freedom of speech. He wanted to take our guns away. And we know it wasn't him per se, but the people that was orchestrating behind the strings, pulling the strings. I believe it was Obama with a little bit of Joe Biden and others that was involved with this thing. George Soros. These are the people, the puppet masters that was behind Biden that allowed this shit to happen. Biden, as far as I'm concerned, was nothing more than a Manchurian candidate. At least I could say about Trump's cabinet, he got competent people that is in his cabinet, and we're seeing that from the executive orders all the way down, they are going to go on after we are in the state of accountability. These criminals that you're going to see Shifty Schiff in prison, Elizabeth Warren in prison, Clinton's in prison, Hakeem, and all the rest of them, right? We're going to be seeing them, right? They're already coming after Stacey Abrams right now, with that campaign fraud that she pulled off. And then Ilhan Omar going to get her ass deported back over there. Then AOC going to get locked up too, educating these illegal ass criminals on how to avoid ICE. You don't think that nothing's going to happen to her? This is a joke if you do. Do you absolutely think that nothing's going to happen to these people? You know what I'm saying? And RFK is actually way better for the job. RFK is very fit, first and foremost. He ain't a fat slob like we had in the past trying to talk about health and everything. The guy knows his shit. He knows about GMOs. He knows about these carcinogens, and he knows about the toxicity and so forth that's in our water drinking supply. You tell me this. You cannot sit up in here and hold up fluoride and chlorinated water as being a better source of drinking water. If that was true, then tell me why it was against the Geneva Convention in the first place. This was the same agents that they used in World War II against the Jews back in Nazi Germany. This was a known fact. They even had the, in any event, if you were to look in Switzerland and some of these other Scandinavian countries, when they drink their water, when they drinking their water, they're drinking their water better, purer form of water than what the Americans are drinking today. And RFK is in the process of removing the fluoride out of the water as well as the other contaminants. And if for anybody that stands against that, you are a lunatic. There's something wrong with you if you stand against that. He is more qualified than what we had in the past. And I approve his message. I have no problem with it. We are going to go against, we're going to start to have our farms back. Fluoride is very bad because, again, it creates retardation, lowers the IQ. Why you think why fluoride was put in the water in the first place? It was just for that reason. Go and pull it up. All you gotta do is Google it. It can tell you all of the contaminants and everything about fluoride itself. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving the things. I'll show you the evidence. You do the evidence. What's wrong with get your fingers to doing the walking? You do the walking. Just like I had to do it, you do it. I'm not gonna do the research for you. Nobody did it for me. I went on there and did my research. Don't you know how to research? Don't you have a brain instead of somebody always telling you something what to do? You wouldn't believe it anyway. That's what I'm saying. Do your own research. Do your own research. You got a lot of AI tools today that make it easy. You can't do that? Shit, I did it. I did it. Why do I gotta do it for you? I know nobody did it for me. I just went in there and say, Okay, what is the issues with fluoride? I'm just asking the question. That's what I'm not going to tell you. Oh, you don't know. That's supposed to trick me? No, it's not. It's not working. You do your research, because when you do your research, you're gonna be appreciated more. I notice when I'm giving information, I used to do that shit. I don't do it no more. I want to make it challenge. That's what you have to do if you want to get to the truth. Because all we doing right now, you know what? We try to have a pissing contest. We don't have to do that. The information is out there for anybody that wants to know. Nobody's hiding shit today, but you gotta be willing to put some skin in the game for yourself. You can pull them up. I personally, to me, I don't use Chat GTP. I'm gonna tell you why. Because Chat GPT is a liberal based source. They're only gonna give half information anyway. Chat GPT is not the only one. Most of them are coming more on a left bias level. Now you gotta do the research yourself. You know, you gotta do your research yourself. I want you to have your own skin in the game, because I already dropped nuggets about the fluoride. Fluoride ain't the only one. Here's another one: chlorination, chlorinated water. Look that up. World War II. Pull that up, and I'm giving you. I'm already giving you keywords, and then all you gotta do is go in there and look at it. How hard is that? Do you know that chlorine was chlorination? Chlorine that was used back in World War II. I'm talking about the chlorine, right? That they put in the water, the drinking supply. You know, when you do that strip, you know, when you do the pH balance thing, you put the little strip down in there. No, they got another one. I'm sorry. They got like a dropper that you can test the water to see where the chlorination and so forth is. If the water turns yellow, that lets you know that it's chlorine in the water. You can get those supplies or whatever, and that's what people are showering with. That's what they're drinking. People are drinking chlorinated water. That's why they said there's something in the water. Some of your better waters that are hydrogenated, like your reverse osmosis, that's a pretty good one, depending on what filter steps. 5 steps. The higher the steps is, the better it is. $2,500 will get you a pretty good system in your home where you have good drinking water, reverse osmosis water. So nothing wrong with it. I drank hydration water before. You know, anything is better than what's coming out the tap. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to insult anybody, but I'm just saying. These are the things, man, that we have to look at. If RFK is talking about something better, RFK was even talking about the what is it about the vaccines and stuff like that, and how it equates and relates to autism. I don't know how old you are, but autism was something that we never dealt with 30 years ago. We didn't know what autism was until that started jumping on the scene. We didn't know what it was. I got a friend of mine's son as an autistic child. We didn't know what this was. But what RFK is saying, and this is why he is looking at Johnson and Johnson right now. He wants Johnson and Johnson to disclose what was inside that vaccine. Because we know that these vaccines, this is a common knowledge now, cause blood clots, heart issues, other type of issues. Just with the vaccines. These are the things and other type of things. And this ain't just with Johnson and Johnson. This is with a lot of them. These are issues, right? With the whole COVID-19 hoax, right? This is why Fauci is going to be up under major scrutiny. we was we was doing so good. I think you're making me dumber. See, we were doing so good, man. But I know. See, that's the thing about it. I'm so used to this type of stuff because you got to resort to It don't bother me, but I'm just saying. I know that you are not really open for a real conversation, a real dialogue, is when you throw insulting things like this. Because that means that you cannot either process what I'm talking about or you just cannot or not willing to do the research on your own. One of the two. Remember, you were the ones that started throwing a name called first. I did not. You were the one that did that, sir or ma'am. You were the one that did it. Gender, it doesn't matter at this point. But I'm just saying what you have done. We're having a conversation. You asked me some questions, and I also replied and answered some questions or whatever like that. You asked me, what do I think about RFK Jr.? I have no problem with RFK Jr. Remember, the Democrats did not want him, right? He was forced to have to run independent. He was forced to have to run independent. Tulsi Gabbard left the Democratic Party. Do you know why she left? Let me give you a little education in case if you don't know. Tulsi Gabbard left the Democratic Party because she could not deal with the grooming on the young children. And that's what a lot of people from the left decided to jump off of that because the left was for grooming. They lie and say they weren't, but they were. They were teaching this stuff in the schools. They had the rainbow flag up in there, grooming children, saying that it's okay for them to mutilate themselves because they feel like they want to feel like a girl want to be a boy want to be a girl. These were the policies. This is what they were doing. This is why she left. She said, I cannot deal with this. And then she made a criticism about, I believe it was about Hillary Clinton and things like that. And again, remember, when you're a Democrat, you cannot speak out against your party. If you do, they'll actually reprimand you, talk down on you, call you a Russian combatant. And that's what they did with her. They called her a Russian combatant. I work for a school every day, and you just said it's false. Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not. It was the truth. It was the truth. They had it where if a child in the school felt the need and wanting to be born, feel like a little boy and a girl, and things like that. So you mean to tell me that they were okay with? They were always champion for the transgender stuff. Yeah, they were. They were teaching it. What you talking about? They were teaching this shit. They were teaching it in these schools. What you mean? What you mean they weren't? What you mean that's a lie? You saying that they weren't teaching gender, they wasn't acknowledging binary and they were teaching the stuff and you know they were. You need to stop lying now. You know damn well they were teaching non-binary. Yes, they were. Don't even sit up here and say they weren't. They, he, it, they, all this stuff. You mean to tell me they weren't doing that? Now you being very disingenuous now. You want to tell this lie? You want to sit up here and say that they weren't teaching? So you mean to tell me in the school systems, a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl? Are you willing to say this? You need to stop. So what would be the point of having a rainbow flag up and all that stuff? You mean to tell me that in the school systems, a boy is a boy? Then why did Trump have to sign an executive order saying that no school, he will not fund any right critical race theory or transgender stuff, right? No, no, no. I'm talking about I'm talking about what Trump, right? What he said. He said no school will be funded under critical race theory, transgender type stuff, right? Why, if what you said was true, then why did he wouldn't have to write that he wouldn't have to write an executive order on that? And there was no litter boxes in the school. I didn't say nothing about a litter box. I said about the gender thing. I'm talking about the gender thing right now. Stay with me. I know it. Stay with me. Critical, right? Critical race. He said, Trump said, I will not fund any school that is teaching critical race theory, transgender, right? No, he said it. This was a policy of his. I know his policy because I've been there many times. You can't say I'm lying about this. He said he will not fund it. Any school caught teaching this type of nonsense will lose their funding, sir or ma'am. I know it's a lag. I know it's a lag, but at the same time, I need you to know. I haven't talked about schools and all this other stuff. I'm talking about the things what Trump said is simply this, like we already know. Critical race theory, and I think DEI is on there too. That's right. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and transgender. Anybody caught teaching any of those ideologies, he was going to strip the funding. They would not be funded. That's what we're talking about here, right? So, like it is now, I'm not saying that some of these schools behind Trump's back are still doing this. Now, it would be a matter of time, just like they went against Trump on the immigrant in the women's sports. That woman up there in Maine that refused. Trump signed an executive order up there in Maine, as well as all across the country, where no where no women should be allowed to compete with men in the sports. He signed an executive order on this stuff. You got the governor of Maine talking ish, refusing to comply. And this is why talking about the Democratic Party, this is why they have no credibility no more. You understand what I'm saying? No, those are the three things. DEI higher, critical race theory, transgender stuff. Those are the things that Trump wrote an executive order against. He said they will lose their funding. You pick out of those three that I say. That's what I'm telling you. They're not doing because for what you say, oh, that's a lie. They're not teaching that. Why did he have to write an order? Just because I believe that there were schools that were teaching this stuff, and a lot of them were, especially in the blue states. A lot of them were. They were pushing DEI. You know this. DEI was being pushed heavily, not just in the school systems, but we're talking about corporations and businesses. It was in their training, their sensitive training and all this stuff, HR. They were teaching all this stuff, binary, non-binary. How do you identify yourself? They were teaching all this stuff, or not teaching it. I mean, in the corporations, to be, what do they call it? The tolerance thing and all this other stuff. When you get hired in these jobs and stuff, sensitive training and all this stuff, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and all this other kind of stuff, right? So, thing about it is, we're not under DEI no more. Now, whether these states want to comply or not, and I know it's going to come down to a court decision on that, Supreme Court. But in the meantime, why why risk it? Why risk losing funding over something like this when it's be simply and easier just to comply? If what's his name? If Toyota can do it, they comply. A lot of these corporations comply. Apple going to have to comply sooner or later though, because like it is, we want. And the reason why a lot of that have gone away because the people were not qualified. It's just that simple. This ain't a racial issue. It's about who's qualified to do the job. This is why Apple has been losing a lot of money in sales. They have not been innovative for over 20 years, especially after they lost Steve Jobs, because they refuse to deal with qualified people, the best of the best, to produce a product. We didn't always have this DEI stuff. This is an issue that always been around since affirmative action. It's the backhand to affirmative action. That's all it is. But they put more inclusion on it. With affirmative action, it was a pretty much of a thing dealing with blacks and whites in that particular era. Now you including other people, and they put a twist on it. And this is why we have a lot of unqualified people in positions that they should not have been in. That's what had ended up happening. You can't run a society like this. If you want to hire the best, I want to hire the best. I just don't want mediocre people. There's enough. We're not rewarding mediocre people no more. We want top level people. That's why we always have a classification in society. The jocks, right? Then you got the other classes of people. It always been this way. That would never go away. You got to know where the problem is people got to learn where they fit in society. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody is not the same. You're going to try to push a nerd to hang out with the jocks? That's not his forte. His thing is books, education, learning. Jocks is about strength training, sports, and excelling at that. It's nothing wrong with it. So where do we come off trying to get everybody included on everything? You get a nerd out there and get him killed. There's nothing wrong with it. So yeah, so so I'm about to I'm about to get ready to close this live. Like I said, I appreciate oh man, might get some more cough syrup. But I appreciate you coming on though. It's been good. We had good conversation, talking about some of the things and so forth. And like I said, and this is for anybody else though, I appreciate you coming on. Well, we had a good conversation. I mean, I'm trying to get you without doing all that stuff, because I listened to you fairly. I was fair. I listened to you. I didn't disrespect you on any level. Because when you caught me earlier, I was making some points. And anybody that followed my show, yeah, I was making some points. And anybody that follows my show knows that I get on my talking points to get those out the way. So that's another thing. But like I said, man, or woman, male or female, yeah, I'm just saying we can't have a real conversation, and that's all I'm been asking. That's all I've been asking and want to do is for us to have a real conversation instead of having this insulting one, because we've never been anywhere. We gotta be willing to have a real conversation. We don't have to agree on everything, and that's fine. We don't have to agree on everything. I can accept your belief system, what you believe in, and you should better accept mine. Because I don't agree with you, you don't have to call, well, yeah, you're a bigger dummy. I'm getting dumber just by talking to you and all this other stuff. That's where it becomes a problem. Because that means that you're not willing to have the conversation for real. Let us have the conversation for real. And all I'm asking is to just go out and research this stuff. That's all I'm been ever asking for anybody to do. You have to be willing to go on here, be willing to have the conversation first and foremost. If you can do that, then you're much further off. You're much further ahead. They kind of have these slick conversations because it becomes disingenuous. I see enough of that in these other rooms, though, man. It's like now, I mean, you should be trying to learn something. Like I said, I grew up in the black community, predominantly blacks vote Democrat over a 92% rate. You don't think I know this stuff? Look at the community. I don't know if you are in the black community or not, but I grew up there. I know what I'm talking about. Very much so. Very much so. And like I said before, it's funny, instead of acknowledging this as a problem in the black community, it has to be a conservative talking point. Just like the word conservative bothers certain people, especially blacks, because most blacks are under the assumption of what conservative really means. It's nothing, what they see it as is nothing more than the modern, or not modern day, but traditional slave values, racism, and all this other stuff. See, and that's the thing about it, It's not that the parties have switched, it's that the Democrats switched their policies of how they were doing things, their practices is what I mean. Their practices. Because it wasn't too long ago that they was wearing those white sheets and burning crosses, right? We're talking about over 150 years or so, 200 years, right? And this is what they were doing. They were all for slavery. They were all for Jim Crow. They were all for Ku Klux Klan. They were all for redlining. These were known facts. No, did not switch. No, no, no. You're missing the point. You're missing it. Let me tell you what ended up happening with the Republican Party. Didn't switch. What ended up happening in the sense of this: the Republican Party got infiltrated by the neocons. The neocons came in, I believe, around the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. But you got people like the Bush family, right? McCain and all of them people, right? Cheney and all these other people. They started coming in as a conservative, but they were really a liberal. Thus created the Rhino Republicans. This was a known fact because if you looked at the Republicans before that time, right? They were actually the ones trying to stop a lot of this type of stuff that was going on today. That's why right now we have way more Democrat Republicans, I do believe, than we have Republican presidents. I meant to say Democrat presidents. And look at the Democrat presidents right now. If you were to look at the Democrat presidents today, a lot of them have enriched themselves greatly by being millionaires. But yet and still, the Democrat Party are the ones that have convinced the poor that rich people are the problem as to why they are in the situation right now. In actuality, if people were to research the Democratic Party and look at these people like Nancy Pelosi, right? She's worth over $200 million. Look at Elizabeth Warren. She has a net worth of almost $70 million. You look at all of them, right? They're all millionaires. You're not supposed to make that kind of money and being a millionaire. They're supposed to be public servants. They're supposed to serve the public, which is us, the American citizen. They are stewards to us. But why are they enriching themselves, though? Now, I want you to answer that question for me because I asked you that first. Why are the Democrats and the Uniparty both, but why are they enriching themselves with all this wealth? That's the question I'm asking you. It's time for me to start asking you questions. I asked you first. Let me ask again. I'm gonna name some of these people that are Congress people, either Congress or senators. Why are they rich millionaires? Why are they rich millionaires? No. I asked you a question. I asked you, you heard what I said, right? I gave you countless of examples of Democrat, especially Democrat Congress, senators, politicians that have enriched themselves financially, and they all are millionaires. Why is that? You should know that any of these politicians should not be millionaires. Why are they millionaires? I have no idea. I haven't traced, and that's my whole point. Have you? I mean, just kind of think about just follow me here a little bit, man. I mean, just follow me here a little bit. No, no, no. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. I'm not. I asked you the question first. I'm getting tired of answering your questions right now. It's time for me to start asking you. I'm gonna ask you a lot more questions too. If you don't know this, sir or ma'am, you are lost in the sauce. You are giving them a pass automatically. You never thought that these people were enriching themselves by playing the victim at the same time. How do you not know this? How do you? I'm just saying. How do you not know this? We got all type of information in the internet today. I'm very surprised that you don't know this. You don't know that the Democrats have been enriching themselves. You don't know why they're mad now, but do you understand what Doge is? Do you know what that? You know what Doge is? Let me ask you this. I got another question. What is Doge? What is Department of Government Efficiency? What do they do? What is that? Let me ask you this question. What is Doge? I know there's a lag. I'm asking you another question. What is Doge? What is that? And I'm about to get ready to head on out of here. What is Doge? I'll wait. Come on now, no. I remember I told you, I said, I'm going to be asking you questions. Hey, Miss G, how are you, Miss G? I was looking for you on your channel earlier this morning. How is Miss G doing? Oh, there's Miss G. Miss G in the house. Miss G, yeah. I got to come back on your live. Done. Oh, your live is done? Okay. Okay. I know you got to go on. I thought you go on a little earlier, but I was looking forward to you. Miss G, everybody. Say hi to Miss G. Yeah. Orphaness or whatever. Go say hi to Miss G. Yeah. Miss G in the house. Miss G. Yeah. One day I do want to come and visit your country, though. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. All right. I'm glad you are good. I'm feeling a little bit better. Still got that nasty cough, but other than that, I'm feeling good about myself. Yep. Still feeling good about myself, you know. Yep. We got Miss G in the house. But I'm gonna ask let me ask Orphaness this question again. You said it's a circus. Do you really know what they do? Do you know what the organization is about or what they do? It's time for me to start asking questions. And that's what I do with moderates and liberals. I start asking you guys questions. Because I already know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get me in a I gotcha moment, which is very disingenuous. It don't work. You got to remember, I got a lot of liberal friends that try to do the same thing. You know what I do? I ask a series of questions to find out where you are, right? So let me ask you this again. What is Doge? What does Doge mean? Let's start with that question. What does that acronym mean? You said it was a circus. He or she said it was a circus. This is just not fair. It's just not fair. It's not a real conversation. It's just not fair. You're welcome to Google it. You can Google it if you want. Oh, no. I asked you a question. Remember, I'm asking you the questions now. See, y'all don't like it when I start asking you questions. You should know this one. What does Doge mean? What does it mean? Come on, don't do me like that. Okay, don't do me like that. I asked you, what does Doge mean? Sir, sir, I asked you, what does Doge mean? Come on now. Don't do me like that. Exactly. What does the acronym mean? What does the Department of Government Efficiency do? That's my next question. What do they do? And I'm going to walk you down on this one. I got a little time left before Miss G, you get some rest, Miss G. I'm going to check you. Miss G, I'm going to check you out on your live tomorrow for sure, check you out over there. I said, what you can go and Google this, sir. You can Google it. You allowed to Google it. It's not what you're typing. That's not what that means. Why don't you just Google it? Don't hurt yourself thinking. Just go on and Google it. What they do. Damn. How hard is that? You said that they are currently disrupting the government functionality. That's not what they're doing. That's not what it's about. If you read the acronym, it's the Department of Government Efficiency. How can you be efficient by upsetting or disrupting the government of being efficient? Think about that. No live today since last week. Were you sick? Miss G, were you sick? Yeah, because I wasn't on over a week too, Miss G. I wasn't on either though. I was dealing with this cough and some other issues, personal issues. But Mama is doing a whole lot better now. You know, Mama. Oh my gosh, man. Just say you don't know, sir. Because obviously you don't know what they do. You don't have no idea and no clue. In fact, you talking on something when you said it was a circus. I knew right then and there you didn't know what you were talking about. You don't know. Just say you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. Now, if I was one of these type of guys that want to, I got you moment. I don't get off about having you in the got you moment. No, all you had to do was Google it, and an intelligent person would have said, you know what? I don't even know, but let me go and find out. You did not do that. You try to run some old slick stuff, try to make it fit your narrative. And you know that that's what you did. You didn't go in there and research what the Department of Government Efficiency is. Because if you really would have looked at it and really understood why it was created, we wouldn't be going through this stuff today. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real. You haven't even bothered looking it up. Now I find that to be very, very rich. You didn't bother doing no investigation. You didn't even, I mean, it's there. No, 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 no. We are not going to move this needle one iota. And see, you doubling down on this nonsense. I can't even believe that you even trying to pass this bullshit as being like, really, sir, stop while you're ahead, man. Stop while you're ahead. Oh my God. See, this is the type of crap that we're talking about here. You don't know. Just say you don't know. A real man would say he don't know. What you think? It's weak to say that you don't know something? I can't know everything. Why is it hard for you to admit that you don't know instead of trying to fit a narrative which is not even the case? You just don't know. Just say you don't know, sir. Stop while you're ahead. You don't know. You just don't know. You don't have no idea of what Doge really does and how the majority of the people support Doge. Do you realize that Doge have been saving the taxpayer millions and millions of dollars, sir, by having a transparency in government? Therefore, everyone can see. No, don't talk because you have to know this stuff. I know this stuff. You don't. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not even willing. See, there it is. You don't even know. And you got your fingers in your ears. I'm just gonna shut up. I'm not even gonna even talk about it because this is another form of ignorance. When you're not even willing to learn something and you think you know it all, lets me know your level of intelligence, sir. We are not on the same level. Intellectually wise, you are not my level. You are not my equal, sir. Sorry, you're not. You're not. Ever since you came in this room, you were not my equal. You think you are, but you're not. It's easy for you to retract or reflect that. That's a deflection what you're doing right now. You are not my intellectual equal, sir, because I know more than you. You couldn't even answer the simple question of what Doge does. You said the acronym, but you can't tell me what they did. And that says a whole lot about you and your character. You've been spitting propaganda, BS stuff. You don't want to listen. I'm surprised you didn't just say Trump is a racist like everybody else do. But this is the stuff right here, man. I'm sorry though, sir. We can't even go any further, man. You are not my equal. You are not my equal. Sorry, you're not my equal, man. I'm gonna go ahead and end this conversation because you're not my equal, sir. Sorry. Anybody that don't know who Doge is, and Doge have been saving the money, transparency in this wicked system that we under. Doge has shown people where the politicians has been spending money in these slush funds. Do you know what a slush fund is, sir? Do you know what the USAID, that's a form of a slush fund. Do you know what a kickback is, sir? These things are obviously what is going on. And it's a beautiful thing that we have a Doge to combat against all this secrecy and non-transparency that the government has been doing. And for you to kick that to a side and call it a circus lets me know that you know very little about Doge and what they do. You got a half of a to a trillionaire, worth damn near 500 billion dollars. Talking about Elon. Talking about Elon. I'm talking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk. He cracked the code. He has access to every spending that the government has been doing. And you really sound like a jackass right about now, to really be honest. You are champion for this bullshit. You really are. That's what lets me know how ignorant you are and how stupid you are. You are an imbecile, sir, to sit up in here and try to downplay Doge, and the average of the Americans know what they do. Your party hasn't saved the taxpayers shit. They were the ones causing the problem. I'm done with you, sir. You have no credibility with me. And if I ever see you under another name, I'm gonna do like I'm gonna do you now. I'm gonna allow you. I'm gonna do an audios to you for good. You are not my intellectual level at all. You should be ashamed of yourself. A sir, a man, a grown man, you need to educate yourself more. Because right now you sound like a real jackass. And if you are in the black community, you a bigger jackass than I think you are. That's right. Ain't nobody running. You don't have shit to say, sir. You never did. I just allowed you to be able to talk like this. You are the one that's that don't you don't even know it don't even matter if you're black, white, and other. Who gives a damn? That don't what race got to do with it. You don't know what Doge does, man. You a bigger jackass than I think you is, though. I asked you what the department do. You couldn't even tell me. You made up your own narrative, and everybody in this room can see what you typed in there. First, you called it a circus. Anybody in intelligence would have said, "Well, I don't even know." Why can you say that instead of going around this fence? You know, no, 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 no. Too late now. Too late. Too late. Miss G, are you still here, Miss G? Miss G, are you still here? Miss G. Miss G, are you still here? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead on and give you the courtesy myself. I can't deal with this type of nonsense and this stupidity. This is the type of before I let him go, ladies and gentlemen, this is the type of stupidity that we are dealing with from the left. They refuse to see, refuse to educate themselves. They are anti-Americans, is what I call them. Anybody that don't stand with the Constitution, anybody that's not getting to the truth, and anybody that's not trying to put political pressure on our political, so-called our political rulers, are an issue. And as far as I'm concerned, this guy here is not worth the conversation anymore. You are not my intellectual level at all. You are not. I gave you every opportunity. And this lets me know how ignorant you are because you had every opportunity to sit up here and say that you didn't know. Because of your pride, you are blinded by your hatred and you are blinded by your pride. And this is why I gotta remove you. You come in here disingenuous in the beginning. I gave you every opportunity. I've been cordial. I've been everything but, and you couldn't even give me the common courtesy in return. You've been trying to get me on an aha got you moment ever since you came in this room, and it didn't work. You are the one that's intellectually challenged, not me. You don't even know the education of your whole Democratic Party. You come off in here as being a moderate, which you are a liar. You are a liberal on the left like the rest of them. Straight like that. Thank you, Miss G. Thank you, Miss G. I appreciate you, Miss G. Thank you, Miss G. Because I sure was going to do it. Okay, so that's over with. So yeah, Miss G. So other than that, oh, I gotta get this cough out. So Miss G, yeah. So have you gone to any interesting restaurants or anything lately? Oh, it was timed out by 1,000 R. Thanks, 1,000 R, man. I appreciate you, sir. I sure was gonna handle things myself. How you doing, sir? 1,000 RR in the house. Yeah, your brother been doing good. Just trying to get over, trying to get over this cough. Yeah, but other than that, I'm doing good. Mm-hmm. Can't complain. Yeah, can't complain and stuff like that. I got tired of dealing with that clown, man. You know, he come in here being disingenuous, being disrespectful, and that's all I'm saying. We ain't got to agree on everything, but if we can't even have a real conversation, you know, just because we disagree on stuff, we ain't got to go there. Why? Yeah, no, not really, Miss G. It's a bronchitis cough. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's what it is. It's bacterial. I gotta go in and get an antibiotic. Yeah, I gotta go in and get an antibiotic. Once I get the antibiotic, it'll stop. Mm-hmm. I gotta get an antibiotic. You give me some antibiotic, and then to clear it up. Yeah, I got a little allergy too, but I'm not as bad today. Yeah, but the main thing is once you give me the antibiotic shot, then I'm gonna be good. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I know 1000 RR, man. I had this cough. Yeah, man. What was yours? Was it was yours viral or was yours bacterial? I'm not for sure which one I have, but once I get the antibiotic or whatever, and straighten it out, get some amoxicillin, and then I'm good. I can actually get that. I know where I can get that over the counter. Get some amoxicillin. That'll straighten that right. Oh, your nose is running, Miss G? Yeah, it's that seasonal allergies running around. Seasonal allergies. I know exactly what you guys are talking about. Yep, I know exactly. Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had the runny nose a few days ago, but usually my allergies is not real bad. Upper respiratory. Yeah, that's what a lot of people have though too. Yeah, a lot of people have that upper respiratory. Yep, they sure do. I know about that. Yeah, I know about that. Yep, yep, I know about that. Yep. It's good to see y'all on though. Yep. It's good to be found too. Yeah, 1000 RR upper respiratory. I know, right? Yeah, you're right about that, man. Yeah. Conversation you heard, but yeah, I had this guy in here, which I don't mind having a debate, but he really didn't have a lot of information, and he wasn't willing to learn anything either. I'm willing to learn something if I don't know, but I know the last one I was livid. I just couldn't deal with it no more. And I asked him about Doge. The first thing he said, I asked him, "What do you know about Doge? What is Doge?" He said it's a service. I gave him another chance. I said, "What's the acronym of Doge?" He gave me the acronym. I said, "Okay, cool." Then I asked him, I said, "What does Doge do?" Then he gave his narrative. I can read what he said. Actually, I think he canceled all that. That's cool. I just summarized. So he said that they are basically what he said. He said that they were basically disrupting of government. I believe it was a disruption of the government system, which means that he had very little or no knowledge of what Doge does. Because we know with the legacy media, it doesn't do a great job or no job at all of educating people with real journalism. Because real journalism will say what Doge really does. You know, it's a reason why it's called the Department of Government Efficiency. And we know that our government haven't been efficient in a long time. So we know our government hasn't been efficient in a long time. We know that our government we know that our government hasn't been efficient in a long time. It really hasn't. Because if it was, we wouldn't be going through these it wouldn't be going through these problems. Yeah, we wouldn't have these problems that we're having today. The only reason we're having these problems now it's getting straightened out because we have real transparency in our government. And anybody that's championing against that is that's regular people. I already know because if they really knew what Doge really stood for and what they're doing, they wouldn't be. This guy wouldn't come in here and say this stupidity stuff that he's saying. He's just repeating propaganda. That's exactly what he's doing. He just over here repeating propaganda stuff that he heard on some type of CNN or MSNBC or ABC. And it's going to come a time going to go back to real journalism. Trump is steady going down here, taking care of stuff. We won't have to deal with this stuff anymore. I'm a music fanboy, right? It's time for a change uh, to hold these corrupt politicians accountable. Exactly. It's time for a change. And that's all we ever been wanting is a change. We never seen it like this before in the history. We never had this type of transparency ever, never, ever. We never had this type of transparency. But he want to try to make it like Elon Musk and Trump is on some bullshit and the circus act and all this other stuff. It just really it's not surprising. It's not surprising at all why they think the way they do and why they act the way they act. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He should have just said, like I told him, if you don't know, just say you don't know. Instead of trying to create a narrative. Because all you're doing is digging the well for yourself and making it worse. Which he did. He doubled down on it. It's not surprising to me that they would do this. Because they refuse, they're blinded by their hatred 1000 RR, is that they are willing to die on that hill. Just like the Democratic Party. He's speaking the same narratives, knowing damn well his buddy ain't making over $400,000 a year. He broke a lot of other people here in America. And he's speaking the same talking points as if he got some type of skin in the game where it benefits them. Everybody ain't suffering under Joe Biden. Average people did, but not the majority of the people in this country. I mean, the majority of people suffer. Rich people, Hollywood celebrities, and elites, they're not over here suffering under Joe Biden. They really aren't. Let's go to be real. You think Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, Ben Affleck, J-Lo, and all the rest of them, we think that they suffering under Joe Biden? They benefited. They're fine. They good. I mean, and that's the thing. Why are they talking shit about Trump? We know why. Epstein book or whatever. And I'm gonna talk about that Epstein thing some other time, man. But yeah, I got some things that I don't like, man, about that Epstein thing. Yeah, phase one. I don't like it. I'm gonna hold that off on some other time, though, But I definitely don't like it.